And now for a speech on the symbolism of the garden from Robert Jerin.
A couple of weeks ago I was in Croatia and I passed through a little village by the name of Lipa. In that village there was an article written by a Croatian school teacher in 1910. So if you will, go back in time with me to a tiny village in Croatia. The year is 1910 and the story is told by a Croatian school teacher. Today they are saying in the village that 15 are going to the port tomorrow by the early train. Men, women, and young girls on their way to America. Toward evening they can be seen hurrying from house to house, taking leave of those they love. Who can say there will ever be another meeting of them? It's very late before they finish these visits, and the family waits with impatience. With impatience. How else, when this evening, or rather the few hours still left, are short? This is the last supper at home. There is no going to bed, for at 3 a.m. they must start for the station. As the train goes at 4, with what anxiety and joy do they wait for the news from their agent that their dear ones have reached America in safety. We're here to celebrate today the dedication of the Croatian Cultural Garden, a tribute to these and other brave immigrants who have become proud and productive Americans, and also a tribute to the independence of Croatia after nearly 900 years of foreign rule. The centerpiece is the immigrant mother created by the sculptor Joseph Turkely, himself an immigrant. The idea of the immigrant mother must have come to Joseph from his life experience, from seeing many made fatherless during World War II, including himself. It was Joseph's friend, Jerome Brentar, who came up with the idea of the immigrant mother as our centerpiece. Mr. Brentar was a young Croatian-American soldier in post-World War II Austria when he came upon a displaced persons camp. The camp residents were mostly Croatian women and children, as the fathers were victims of World War II. Recognizing their sad plight, Jerome lobbied the U.S. Congress and was able to bring the first group of post-World War II displaced Croatians to America. These families were headed by widowed mothers and children. The only other choice for these mothers and children would have been to be returned to a brutal dictatorship in their homeland. While most of our ancestors may not have arrived under these circumstances, it does highlight the huge role mothers play in our lives. Thus, the immigrant mother represents all the Croatian mothers who came to an unknown land, America, to make a better life for their family. Let's look at some of the objects in the garden. The Hrvatski Grb, or the Croatian coat of arms. We can see it on the flag here of today's Republic of Croatia. On the front of the base of the statue is one that we've found from the 15th century. There are several legends about the coat of arms, but it is certain that the red and white checkerboard represents the unity of the Croatians. The first use of this symbol dates back to the 11th century. The one used on the base comes from examples from the 15th century. This ancient symbol has in fact been used by all of the ruling entities of Croatia, each modifying it to suit their needs or their tastes. On the side of the base of the ancient statue, and also on my necktie, is the 1,000-year-old Glagolica script. We can find this today. I'm a genealogist and I found some in church records. And it's curious that in 1248, Pope Innocent gave the Croatians special permission to use their own script and their own language in the liturgy. It was unheard of at that time, and the reason was that Croatia was on the edge of the East and West empires. On the benches and the statue base, we can see the Croatian troplet, or platar, the three-ribbon interwoven pattern. This is a very frequent motif in Croatian handcraft, art, buildings, and historic monuments, especially those from the Middle Ages. It's truly an unmistakable symbol of Croatians. The stone benches, which have been purchased by patrons and inscribed with their names, also some of them contain the Croatian troplet. The stone came from the famous quarries on the lovely Croatian Adriatic island of Brač. The stone has been used in the Reichstag in Berlin, the Parliament buildings in Vienna, Roman Diocletian's palace in the city of Split in Croatia, and also in the 1902 renovation of the West White House in Washington, D.C. Behind me, you'll see a representation of Krka Falls, reminding us of the natural beauty of Croatia. The natural beauty makes Croatia one of the top vacation destinations in Europe. In fact, it's so nice there that many American movies have been filmed in Croatia, including one at Krka Falls called Wintertal the Warrior. The small plaza on which I'm standing is a representation of the Lisitar Srca, or the Lisitar Heart. Legend tells us that young girls would make small decorated cookies in the shape of a heart with a mirror in the center. They would then send this to the boy who caught their fancy with a note saying, "Look in the mirror and you'll see the one I love." Small ones are used today by Croatians to decorate their Christmas trees. But the plans for the gardens will continue. Plans to add the Vyšislav Krstionica, or baptismal font of Prince Vyšislav, who was one of the first princes to rule Croatia in the 8th century. The font, in fact, has the inscription, "This font receives the weak to make them enlightened beings." This work was done reverently in the time of Prince Vyšislava in honor of St. John the Baptist. In addition, more benches are planned, as well as busts of noteworthy Croatians, and also plants that are found in Croatia, and also a stairway to the upper level, so access will be easier to the upper level. Before I end, I'd like to make special recognition of a person that really made this happen. I told my wife, and she said I shouldn't use words such as I was going to use to describe Mrs. Molinar. Branka, could you come up, please? I've got to tell you, if it wasn't for her persistence, hard work, tireless efforts, and poking and prodding of others, actually I was going to use another term, but my wife said it wasn't nice in mixed company, to make this garden become a reality that it is today. And truly, if it wasn't for Branka ramrodding the thing and making everybody come together and, going through all the discussions and all the controversy, it wouldn't be here today. So I understand that one of our Croatian organizations or places in Cleveland was not mentioned, and that's St. Nicholas Croatian Byzantine Catholic Church. That's at 36 in Euclid. Those are people that came from the northern mountains in Croatia. So I thought I would bring those people up also.